There are the times you may need to run multiple operating systems on your computer. Now, based on your workflow and the requirement, you need to experience the native performance of a Linux operating system. Now, most of the users have been asking me for a long time, how can I set up a triple boot on my computer without any data loss? Now, this is the video you might be waiting for a long time or searching on the internet. Hey guys, my name is KS Kiral. In this video, I'm going to show you how to triple boot Windows 10 with Ubuntu and Kali Linux. Now this is a step-by-step installation video. I'm going to walk you through every step, so make sure to watch this video without skipping any parts. Now if in case you like this video, hit the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe this channel and consider hitting the bell icon to receive the notifications of my latest videos. Now that being said, let's start setting up a triple boot on any PC. Now keep in mind, this guide will work flawlessly on any computer. I assume that your PC is running Windows 10 or Windows 11 in UEFI mode with GPT partition scheme. Now if your system is running in legacy BIOS mode with an MBR partition scheme, then the process is slightly different. If there is a demand, I will make a dedicated video for the legacy BIOS users. To check whether your system is running in UEFI or legacy mode, type msinfo32 inside the command prompt and find out the boot mode status. Now as you can see, my PC is running in UEFI mode. Also, please back up any important data or sensitive information from the Windows operating system just to be on a safer side. Now if something goes wrong, you can retrieve the data back to normal. Now, apart from that, as long as you follow this guide, you will be able to successfully triple boot Ubuntu, Kali Linux, and Windows 10 on your computer. The only prerequisites of this video: you need a computer running Windows 10 or 11, 8 GB or higher pen drive, a free space of at least 60 GB. Now open your favorite browser and the first link in the description takes you to this page. Now, by the time of recording this video, I'm choosing Ubuntu 2004 LTS. Now, in your case, you may see a newer version of Ubuntu and the process will be the same. If you are not interested in trying out LTS, you can use other releases of Ubuntu. Next, head over to the Kali Linux website and download the latest version of Kali. Now, here choose bare metal, then select a 64-bit installer and download it. And lastly, head over to this website and download the Balena Etcher, which helps in creating a bootable disk with Ubuntu and Kali Linux. You can also use Rufus if you are familiar with that tool. Now, once it's done downloading all of the files, place them somewhere on your computer for easier navigation. To install Ubuntu and Kali Linux alongside with Windows, you need to create a free space. To do so, open Run, then type cmd. Now inside command prompt, type this command and press the return key to open a disk manager. The disk manager is a place where it shows all of the connected drives to your computer. In my case, I have only one drive connected to my computer. The drive 0 is my SSD where Windows 10 is currently installed. I'm going to use my main drive to shrink a free space for Ubuntu and Kali Linux. And if you notice carefully, inside this drive I have only 3 partitions. The one is named as EFI partition, the main C partition, and recovery. Now I'm going to use a C partition to shrink a free space. Now in your case, you can shrink the free space from any partition. Now simply select the partition, then right click on it and choose to shrink volume. Now for Ubuntu and Kali Linux, you need at least a 30 GB for each distribution. Now in this case, I'm going to allocate a 60 GB of free space. Now using this 60 GB of free space, I'm going to use 30 GB for Ubuntu and 30 GB for Kali Linux. You can use more than that if you have a lot of space left on your drive. Now once it's done, you can see unallocated free space, which is where we will be installing Ubuntu and Kali Linux in a few minutes. Now first, let's start installing Ubuntu. To do so, first you need to create a bootable USB with Ubuntu that helps in installing the OS on the main drive. Now go ahead, connect your USB drive or pen drive to the computer. Then open Balena Etcher and choose to run as administrator. Now inside here, import the Ubuntu ISO and choose the USB drive and flash. Now this process will take some time depending on the speeds of your USB drive. Now it's time to install Ubuntu. Go ahead, restart your computer. Now if in case you're trying on a laptop, please make sure the battery percentage is more than 80%. I recommend connecting your laptop to the power source during the triple boot setup. Now while it's restarting, head over to BIOS and make sure things like Intel Rapid Storage Technology is turned off. Now look for the boot section and inside here enable the USB boot, boot from removable drives. Also, don't forget to disable secure boot for the time being. Then save the changes. Now again, while it's restarting, press Escape or F2 or F10 or F12 on your keyboard to launch the boot menu. Now from here, you can select your USB drive. Now in this case, it is showing my drive as SanDisk, and I'm going to choose this option to boot into Ubuntu Live Session. Now when you're inside the live session of Ubuntu, go ahead and click on Install Ubuntu. Now first you need to set up a language. In this case, I'm going to use English as a default language and then click on Next. Now for the keyboard layout, choose the English United States as a default option. The next step in this section, I would choose the normal installation that installs all of the basic tools. If in case you have a faster internet connection, you can take this option that downloads the latest software updates and installs automatically. Now make sure you tick this option to install any third-party media codecs, graphics, and Wi-Fi drivers. Then click on Continue. The next step, it shows the installation screen. Here you can choose something else option, and then click on Continue. Now here you can see your drives and the free space which we have created in Windows 10. If you notice, there are a lot of NTFS partitions are visible. Do not touch any of this, which is going to destroy Windows 10. And we're going to use this free space to create only one partition for Ubuntu. To do so, select the free space and tap on the plus button. Now allocate 30 GB of free space and set the mounting point as root. You can also create a swap area, but in my case, I don't need it for Ubuntu. Now as you can see, this is the root partition for Ubuntu and we are left with 30 GB of free space, which is where we will install Kali Linux. Now if you notice, every GPT formatted drive must have an EFI partition. Now under the device bootloader installation, you can use the default option, which is going to find the EFI partition automatically and installs the grub bootloader over there. Now click on Install Now option and accept the changes. Then go ahead, choose your time zone and create a user account by entering the details. Now sit back and relax. The installation process will take 5 to 20 minutes depending on your writing speeds of your drive. Now once it's done, go ahead and restart your computer by removing the bootable media. Now, as you can see, by default, the grub menu should appear. From here, you can boot into either Windows 10 or Ubuntu. Now, for now, let's just boot into Ubuntu. And as you can see, now Ubuntu is working super fine. Now keep in mind that in case you are trying out Ubuntu 22.04 LTS or later versions, the OS Prober feature is disabled by default, and this is going to create a problem for many users. The grub bootloader may not be going to probe for another operating system, and this is why you won't see any Windows bootloader entry inside a grub menu. It's not a major problem and can be fixed by adding a line to the default grub config file, which is present under the etc directory. Now just type grub disable OS prober and set this value to false, then save it. Then run sudo update grub. Now this will update the grub boot menu and you will see a list of the other operating systems. It's time to install Kali Linux. To do so, first restart your computer and boot back to Windows OS. Now, as you can see, if you head over to Disk Manager, you can see the Ubuntu partition and the free space of 30 GB, which is where we're going to install Kali Linux. But before that, open Settings Manager by pressing Ctrl+I. Then inside here, search for Virus and Threat Protection. Then choose to manage settings and turn off the real-time protection. When you are going to create a bootable USB with Kali Linux, the software will try to extract the Kali ISO and Windows OS will delete some suspicious files of Kali that will cause an installation error. To prevent this issue, it's better to turn off real-time protection for the time being. You can re-enable once you are done creating a bootable USB with Kali Linux. Now open Balena Etcher. Now inside here, import the Kali Linux ISO and choose the USB drive and flash it. Once it's done, now restart the computer. Now while it's restarting, press Escape or F2 or F10 or F12 on your keyboard to launch the boot menu. Now from here, you can select your USB drive. Now in this case, it is showing my drive as SanDisk. I'm going to choose this option to boot into Kali Linux live session. Now here, choose the graphical install option. Now choose the language. Now in this case, I will set English as my default system language. The next up, choose your location and keyboard layout. Now the installer setup will start loading all the components. Wait for a few seconds. Now if in your case you see any prompt saying missing firmware from removable media, choose yes to fix the issues. Now here, type the host name. Now in this case, I'm going to type Kali system, and in the domain section, I will leave it as empty. Now here you need to create a new user account. Go ahead, type your name in here and tap on continue. Now go ahead and set the password for the user account and continue. Now it's time to create a partitions for Kali Linux. Now as you can see, you can either choose the automatic or manual method to create partitions for Kali, although it is recommended to choose the manual option. Now you can see the list of all the drives connected to the PC or laptop. Now this is the only internal SSD that is connected to my PC and it's showing over here. Now inside this drive, as you can see, all the Windows and Ubuntu partitions along with the free space. Now we're going to use this free space to create two partitions. And if you notice, every UEFI system has a partition named as ESP, aka EFI system partition, which is where the Windows, Kali, and Ubuntu bootable files will be present. Now in this case, we are sticking with the two partitions, root and swap. Now anyway, first I'm going to create a root partition. To do this, select the free space and tap on continue. Then click on create new partition. And here you can allocate a minimum of 20 GB for root partition. Now in my case, I will use a 30 GB of free space for root and continue. And the file system for this partition will be ext4 journaled and the mounting point is /. Now once it's done, click on continue. It's time to create a swap area. A swap memory acts as a virtual RAM. If your system has a less amount of physical memory, for example, if your system has 4 GB of RAM, then use a 2 GB of swap area to make the system more responsive. And for those who are having a more than 16 gigs of RAM, swap memory is not needed. Now anyway, to create a swap partition, choose the rest of the free space and continue. Now here, instead of ext4, we're going to use it as a swap area and finish the changes. Now that's it. Now we have successfully done creating two partitions. Now go ahead, click on finish to make the changes to the disk. Now as you can see, these are the two new partitions and click on continue. Now the installer will start installing the base system. Now once it's done, you will be presented with this menu where you have to choose to install a desktop environment. You can choose GNOME, KDE Plasma, and XFCE. Now in my case, I'm going to install a GNOME desktop environment and tap on continue. Now sit back and relax. The installation process may take some time depending on the writing speeds of the disk. Now, if in case the installer is stuck at the simple cdd command for a long time, remove the USB drive and press Ctrl-Alt+Delete a couple of times to see this screen. Now once it's done, go ahead and restart the computer. Now by default, it will boot into a grub bootloader where you can choose to boot into Windows 10, Ubuntu, and Kali Linux. And for now, let's boot into Kali Linux. That's it. This is how you triple boot Ubuntu Kali Linux with Windows 10 without any issues. Now using the grub menu, you can boot into Ubuntu, Kali Linux, or Windows 10 seamlessly. Now, if in case you don't like Ubuntu or Kali Linux and decide to uninstall them, then reboot your computer to Windows 10. Now inside Windows 10, open Disk Manager by typing this command on the search bar or inside the command prompt. Now here you can see next to the C drive the three partitions which we have created for Ubuntu and Kali. Now just go ahead and delete these three partitions carefully, one after the other. Now once it's deleted, you can see unallocated free space. You can use this free space in a Windows OS by using an extended volume option. Now lastly, we need to do one more important step to remove the grub bootloader from the EFI partition. And for that, we need to take a command prompt help. Just go ahead, open the CMD with admin rights. Now inside here, type a disk part, then type list disk. Now as you can see, this is my main drive. Now we need to select this drive by typing this command. Then select list partition, and it's going to show all of the partitions present inside this drive. Now we need to look for a partition named as system, also known as EFI partition. In my case, it's the first one. Now select this partition by typing this command. Then assign a drive letter to mount this partition. Now once the drive letter is assigned to the EFI partition, exit from the disk part. Now type this drive letter with a colon assigned for the EFI partition, which in my case is letter K, and press the return key. Now type cd EFI to change the directory into the EFI partition. Then type dir to see the contents on this folder. Now here you can see both Windows and Linux bootable files. Now as you can see, both Ubuntu and Kali Linux bootable files. Now anyway, remove Ubuntu and Kali folders by typing this command. Now this indeed is going to remove all of the grub files related to both Linux distributions. Now that way you won't end up facing any grub issues. Now once it's done, now you have successfully removed the triple boot. Now restart the computer and you can see the system should boot into Windows 10 without any issues. Now, as a bonus part of this video, during the creation of bootable USB, Balena Etcher will create some partitions inside your pen drive. Now this way, you cannot use your pen drive normally. So we're going to format the pen drive to bring it back to its normal state. To do so, head over to this website and download the latest version of SD Formatter. Now once it's done, go ahead, install and open it. Now connect your pen drive and choose to format. And that's pretty much it. This is how you properly set up a triple boot on any computer. So let me know guys what you think about it in the comment section down below. So if you have any suggestions or queries, comment down below. So if in case you like this video on my efforts, hit the thumbs up down there and don't forget to subscribe this channel and consider hitting the bell icon to get notified whenever I post a brand new video. Thanks for watching this video. This has been KSK Ryle. I will see you in my next one.